we've been waiting a long time for a number of notable politicians to make clear what they think about the situation with the Dakota Access Pipeline. Some politicians have been willing to go, like Jill Stein did a protest at the actual pipeline. Some have been silent throughout the primaries, throughout the general election, never said anything. Now, Bernie Sanders has spoken there. That's great. Barack Obama has been willing to just bide his time and see how things develop, which is so helpful. Thank you for that. Although at the department level, they've done some things that are at least theoretically helpful in slowing it down. But what about the president-elect? Well, we now know from a Republican senator who spoke with his team, Mr. Trump expressed his support for the Dakota Access Pipeline. He also added Trump's backing of the project, his team said, has nothing to do with his personal investments and everything to do with promoting policies that benefit all Americans, which is interesting because there are personal investments. Trump invested between $500,000 and $1 million in the company constructing the pipeline, Energy Transfer Partners, according to financial disclosures. Now, he says he is divested from that investment, but he also said that his company is going to a blind trust, so I don't know who you're supposed to believe. Trump has also between $100,000 and $250,000 invested in the oil and gas company Phillips 66, which will have a 1/4 stake in the finished pipeline, and they haven't even claimed to divest from that. And so, as in so many other cases, and we've seen this in the diplomacy that he's conducted over the past few days over the phone, very often he is using his office, even before he occupies the office, to advance his own personal financial interests.
I've never seen anything like this in my life, where the president's like, yeah, I'm invested in that, and now I'm going to make a decision based on it so I can get richer.
Now, in case you think for even just a second that we're just saying this because, oh, look at how terrible Trump is, we're looking ahead to the future of these protests. When you combine his stated support for the project, his personal financial interest in the project, and the way that he and his team has talked about protests and what they think about protesters, and how you need to be willing to be a little bit tough with them, perhaps, imagine once he's sworn in. I mean, we've seen terrible atrocities against the water protectors already, and that's under Obama, who at least supposedly is in favor of peaceful protest. What do you think that Trump and his team are going to do once they're the ones in charge of the police?
By the way, the guy claims to be worth $10 billion. You can't divest something that's worth $100,000 to $250,000 just so you could make an unbiased decision. But you think like, oh, why doesn't he get rid of that problem? But for him, it's not the problem, it's the solution. He plans to get rich off the presidency. So he's thinking, why would I divest that? I'm about to make some money based on the decision I make. I mean, one of the first things he did was talk to Indian businessmen and have the Indian government, get affected by his dealings in India. Talk to the Argentinian prime minister. 3 days later, got a permit that he'd been waiting for a long time. Talking about, he even admitted in Turkey, I got a slight conflict of interest because I got a big Trump tower going on up in Istanbul. Hasn't divested himself in any of that stuff.
Can you imagine how bad it has to be for him to acknowledge it's a conflict of interest?
Yeah, but if he goes there, like, for example, you guys are going now, it's still, a long time from January 20th when it's inauguration day. But if the veterans are still a standing rock, as an example, and Trump, who wants to make money off of this project, then goes and unleashes, police forces, National Guard or whatever against veterans, and let alone the Native Americans. That is going to be it's going to be a mess, and it's going to be a disaster for him.
At least now we'll have a president who's outwardly helping big oil as opposed to giving lip service to other things, the environment and caring about climate change. And now he'll just be blatantly saying, oh yeah, I'm helping big oil.
And he does. He says, I'm going to open up all the energy. I don't care. And to this day, he calls climate change a hoax. His chief of staff, Ryan Priebus, called it bunk.
Well, those sneaky Chinese, they created this hoax of climate change.
Yeah. But then what will come of it is the other question, too, because conservatives during the primaries talked against these things. Lindsey Graham, all those guys, people were now bowing to him, not necessarily Lindsey Graham, but now is it going to create more people to talk about it? Somewhat connected, I just read. Sarah Palin said that the carrier deal is more crony capitalism. She can't believe it. And now everyone's heads
Sarah Palin said that?
Yeah, she wrote a piece for Young Conservatives in a long, lengthy piece, how it's crony capitalism. It's the same old thing over and over again. You're just giving money to certain businesses. This is ridiculous. And I was like,
oh, that means she's not going to be the head of Veterans Affairs?
Absolutely.
That's probably why, but I mean, she deserves at least a little bit of credit for that. For nothing else
Political
but that.
reported that because she wrote it in a piece, but I read it second.
You didn't just, when you were randomly this morning reading Young Conservative, you didn't come across it?
Young Black Conservative.
Yeah. So apparently Scott Brown, your new head of Veterans Affairs, because that sounds like an angry thing that Sarah Palin would write after she got word that it's not going to be her. But we'll see. We'll see how that develops. We need independent media to make sure that we hold corporate media accountable. The people that can make that happen is you. You make the Young Turks possible. tytnetwork.com/join. Join us. Be the revolution.